The Shadow Gallery is basically a replication of the painting collection at CIA headquarters. It may sound counterintuitive that the CIA should have a museum because it's not open to the public. It's really designed for their internal consumption for the workforce and for visiting VIPs. The joke at CIA is the CIA museum is the greatest museum you'll never see. So this is an opportunity for people from the outside world, so to speak, to see these paintings that tell a fascinating story of clandestine warfare and espionage, the kind of stuff you see in James Bond films, but actually happened. So the paintings tell a story. I have 3 paintings in the Shadow Gallery. One is a painting of Virginia Hall. She was a female spy in the Second World War working for the Office of Strategic Services, the predecessor to CIA. She had a natural sense of spycraft. She was so effective that she was recommended by the British for a member of the British Empire, which is tantamount to a knighthood. The second painting is called Earthquake's Final Flight. Is a depiction of a scene out of the Cold War in the mid-1950s. James McGovern, aka Earthquake Magoon, was flying a C-119 boxcar. His plane was damaged by flak. They were about 10 miles from the Laotian border. They were able to get across the border. He tried to crash land the plane, but the plane broke apart and exploded on impact. So arguably, James McGovern may have been one of the first casualties of what would later become the Vietnam War for us in the 1960s. Lobo 1 depicts an attack on a column of Castro's troops headed toward the invasion beach at the Bay of Pigs on April 18, 1961. At that point, the invasion had already failed. It was more an issue of trying to save the Cuban expatriates who were coming ashore on the beach from further destruction. I visited the CIA compound a number of times, and the thing that really impresses me are the members of the workforce that I've met there. They really believe in their mission, they're genuine patriots, they really want to be doing what they're doing. And that's an inspiration to me to depict artwork that will in turn inspire them.
The forward air controller is an airborne asset that flies a light aircraft usually that has very good visibility and flies out to visually reconnaissance, identify, find a target to strike with either air or artillery. Once we make the determination that we've got a viable match between the target, the friendly situation, and the air, we'll put in the airstrike. Our actual cover story was we were part of the Forestry Service under the U.S. Agency for International Development. I was going to now fly in civilian clothes and have plausible deniability that I was an Air Force officer. I flew 3 different types of aircraft. The O-2 Skymaster out of Da Nang, and then I had 2 different types of aircraft as a Raven. The O-1, which was the primary aircraft, which was the 2-seat, front and back, had the great visibility. And then the other aircraft was a U-17. The U-17 was a Cessna 185 modified to carry smoke rockets. Ravens had about a 60% shoot down rate, either shot down or through some mistake they ended up losing the airplane on the ground. I got shot out, I would say, just about every mission that I was on, a close air support mission. Did I get hit? No, I did that. To my knowledge, I did not get hit. The whole tour was really the highlight of my Air Force career. It was a defining moment, if you can imagine, going out every day in a mission and getting shot. A lot of sleepless nights, worrying about if I was going to come home the next day, but still wanting to do the mission and do it right. But as a lieutenant, you had an innate knowledge that you would never have this opportunity again.
In 1962, you had the Geneva Neutrality Act that American or U.S. military forces and aircraft could not be based into Laos. Well, Air America circumvented that requirement that, yes, they are technically civilians in the aircraft or civilian aircraft and et cetera, but the CIA is purely running the operation. That was the CIA's war. It was probably not until the late 80s, early 90s that the CIA did say, yes, you did work for us and we owned you lock, stock, and barrel. And that was Air America's history. At the end of our training, we probably only had 200 hours total, rotor time. And everyone knew, once you finished flight school, it was straight to Vietnam. I mean, there was no break in time. You talk about being thrown into the fire, it was really an eye-opener. We didn't think anything like this was going to happen. You go through Hill 875, which is in Dak To, there's been books written about that. And so you go through that one, and my comment was, after Hill 875, I said, if the rest of the tour is going to be like this, we're not going to make it. Well, Air America, their requirements or their experience level, they would like, of course, to have, for the most part, military pilots. And then they would like you to have preferably experience in Vietnam or Laos or flying some type of combat. It was the most rewarding flying that I have ever done. We actually felt that we were contributing, as they say, to the cause. We were given freedoms with an aircraft that you would never have before. Our responsibilities, it was amazing the responsibilities that we were given in the field. We could fly an aircraft to its limits when it was required, we could. And as far as the flying itself, the caliber of the people, the maintenance, the aircraft, nothing will ever equal the 5 years I had with Air America.